So, a while back, my buddy John picked up this NAD C700 and sent it over to me to check out. For those who have followed me for a while, we already took the M10 and the M33 for a spin, and we found those amplifiers to be very versatile and offer a ton of really cool features. With both the NAD M10 and now this guy, the C700, these guys are tiny little amplifiers that to an extent almost feel like an audiophile amplifier from the future. With that being said, the C700 isn't offering every single bell and whistle as the M10, but it's still pretty dang cool, and best of all, it comes in close to half the price of the M10. So yeah, let's quickly cover what this thing is all about and have a chat about how this thing actually sounds. So look, there are a couple of places that you can snag the NAD C700, both brick and mortar and online. However, for lifetime tech support, flexible financing, and one of the most knowledgeable teams on the planet, there is only one place that delivers the goods. That's right, folks. Safe and Sound. Now, if you're here for the C700 review, but you're also in the market for anything hi-fi or home theater related, make sure you bookmark the links down below. And as always, thanks for sponsoring today's show, Safe and Sound. We certainly do appreciate it. With built-in Ethernet and Wi-Fi and a network streamer based on the BluOS software platform, the C700 has everything that you need to play music through whatever set of speakers that you have laying around. Using the BluOS controller app, you can queue up music from dozens of different streaming and web radio services, or play music stored on an external hard drive connected to the C700's USB port. Like all BluOS-enabled components, the C700 supports high-resolution audio to 24-bit 192 kHz and has full MQA decoding and rendering capability. For the 4 people that are still interested in MQA, is that harsh? That's pretty harsh. Okay. For the 5 people that are still interested in MQA, you can do it with this. With these features, you can enjoy lossless and high-resolution audio from services such as Amazon Music, Ultra HD, Deezer, Qobuz, and Tidal. The C700 supports Spotify Connect and Tidal Connect, so you can control playback from those apps for those services, and Apple AirPlay 2, so you can stream music from Apple devices and iTunes libraries. You can also queue up music by voice using Amazon Alexa, Apple Siri, or Google Assistant protocol. NAD offers software tools that allow smart home specialists to integrate the C700 into home automation systems from Control4, Crestron, Elan, RTI, and others. This allows control of music playback along with other home systems like lighting, shades, HVAC, and security. The C700 has 2 pairs of RCA analog inputs as well as coaxial and optical digital inputs for connecting disc players, game consoles, media adapters, and other components. There's also an HDMI eARC port for connecting an HD TV with HDMI ARC support. This allows the C700's volume setting to be adjusted from the TV's remote control. In addition to the loudspeaker outputs, the C700 has one subwoofer output jack. Using the BluOS app, you can set low and high pass crossover settings for a seamless blend between the subwoofer and main speakers. The C700 also offers 2-way aptX HD Bluetooth, so you can listen to music through wireless headphones and stream audio from any smart device. I paired the NAD C700 with the MoFi Point Source 10s as well as the Spatial Audio X4s. Both of these speakers are pretty easy to drive, and with the power on tap from the C700, easily got these speakers singing with authority. While not as powerful as the M10, it seems to me that the 80 watts is probably going to work in the vast majority of pairings out there, minus the most demanding speakers out there. The top end of the C700 does sound a little dry to my ears, and it might not be the sweetest or most liquid sounding amplifier that I spent time with, but I did appreciate how crisp and clean it was. Air and extension doesn't seem to be much of a problem with this amplifier, and symbol information all seem to be rendered with a good amount of clarity. Paying close attention to upper mid-range and the top end of female vocals, that somewhat dry sound that I just mentioned didn't seem as prominent and only showed itself in true treble territory. So when it comes to upper mid-range, I had nothing to really nitpick about the performance of this amp. One thing to note, all these impressions were pretty short-lived and the unit only has a few hours on it, so it's possible the top end of this amplifier might evolve over the long haul, and it certainly might relax a little bit. The mid-range on the C700 sounds pretty good, and all things in the heart of midband, let's say 100 Hz up to 1K, seem to be pretty balanced with only a small tilt in the analytical or detail side of the swimming pool. Being blunt, if you are the kind of listener that wants some body, weight, or a fair amount of meat on the bones, this isn't really that kind of presentation. To my ears, the C700 sounds leaner, more precise, and overall, just a cleaner sounding performance. Acoustic guitars' bodies sound more focused and perhaps sacrifice some of the body for more of the detail. Electric guitars follow suit, and the upper mid-range seems to lead the charge, giving way to a more exciting or front row experience. Male vocals all sound pretty balanced, but again, lower baritones sound slightly thinner than I've heard consistently on other amplifiers and systems. Thinking about it, I can see where the C700 might shine for those who do want a little bit more heft in the mid-range with warmer sounding speakers, or even speakers that might offer some more heft or bloom or weight throughout the bandwidth. Otherwise, listeners can expect to hear a sound that again rides the line of being more detailed, analytical, or clean. Bass on the C700 is no joke, and of course, this is often a positive attribute to Class D. Powerful, robust, and punchy are the words that I would use to describe what I'm hearing in this amplifier's bass performance. Whether I was listening to soundtracks or even taking Cosmic Hippo for a spin, I was pleasantly surprised with just how easily this little amplifier sounded much larger than it is. Even more, I had no issues with hearing clarity in the bass, and while not, hear me, the king of texture and tone, I gotta say that it did sound good enough to satisfy. In fact, nothing ever sounded bloated, one-notish, or anything that resembles whale farts. No, when it comes to bass, the C700 dishes out the good grub, and there is little to no doubt anyone would enjoy its sonic performance in the nether regions just as much as I have. As for things that I do not like, it's a pretty short list. I wish that the C700 offered stereo subwoofer outputs like the M10 offered. Second, I do wish that it offered Dirac, which of all the room correction software out there, I definitely think that it's the best. I think that it sounds the best to my ears, at least. I'll also note that the binding posts on the C700 appear to be super cheap. And while the M10s didn't stand out as looking super impressive, these things honestly look like something that I would expect to see on much cheaper amplifiers, well under the price point of the C700. And last, I would say that I do wish that the C700 came with a traditional remote, but to be fair, the M10 doesn't come with one either. While I don't mind using the BluOS from my phone to control the amp, there is something to be said about having a physical remote that is hard to ignore. Last, no touchscreen. And let's get real here. Most of these squabbles that I'm bringing up are all part of the reason that the M10 exists and why it costs more than the C700. All these features that made the M10 truly look, feel, and sound like an amplifier from the future, well, it's going to cost you to get that. From a sonic standpoint, only top end sounding a little bit dry is the only thing here that didn't quite blow my mind. I appreciated the rest of the detailed and analytical nature of the C700, but if I'm being honest, I wish that everything in the time domain information sounded a little bit more refined and less edgy. While it's entirely possible this might change over time, it was the only thing that left me underwhelmed about this little amplifier, and it would be my only caution for listeners who are looking for a picture-perfect top end. So what can I say? For those who want a simple and easy to use little amplifier that gets the job done, looks fantastic, and fits into any kind of home decor situation out there, the C700 should be on your short list of amps to check out, as long as you don't need all the bells and whistles of its big brother, the NAD M10. And with that, I'll see you NAD loving audiophiles in the next video.